So your child comes to you and says, I don't want to go. They're crying and they hide. They beg you, please don't send me. The family court file that gets written down as parental alienation. The assumption is that someone must have coached the child, that she's been turned against her father, that what she's feeling isn't real. It's manufactured or programmed. And what you should understand is that a child who has been genuinely alienated looks very different from a child who is afraid. And if you can't tell the difference, or if the evaluator can't tell the difference, or the judge can't tell the difference, then a child gets forced into the care of the person she is trying to get away from. And that happens every single day in family courts across the country. I am Cheryl Sayre, licensed psychotherapist, National Board Certified Forensic Mental Health Evaluator, Florida Supreme Court Certified Family Mediator, and Guardian ad litem. I have spent years working inside the systems that are supposed to protect children, and I have seen far too often how they fail. And today I want to walk you through the difference between alienation and estrangement, what the research actually says, what gets missed in evaluations, and what it means if you're the parent watching your child's fear get reframed as it being your fault. So let's start with definitions, because language really does matter, especially in court. So parental alienation refers to a pattern where one parent systematically undermines the child's relationship with the other parent through manipulation, negative messaging, restricting contact, or turning the child into an ally against the other parent. The child in this framework will reject a parent who has done nothing to warrant rejection. The rejection is manufactured. Estrangement is different. Estrangement is what happens when a child pulls away from a parent because of that parent's own behavior. And there is a reason for the rejection. It isn't programmed, and it is protective. Here's where that gets complicated in family court, because both can look the same from the outside. A child refusing contact or saying negative things about a parent, a child aligned with the other parent. If you're only looking at the behavior without looking at the context, you probably end up misreading what is actually happening in front of you. So, in my experience, the alienation label gets applied way more often than it should, particularly when the parent being rejected does have a pattern of coercive control, emotional abuse, or high conflict behavior that does not leave visible marks. So let me describe something that you probably may recognize. You are in a relationship with someone who controlled the emotional climate of the house. Maybe it was overt, maybe it was subtle, the constant monitoring, the financial control, the way everyone had to manage their behavior around this person's mood. If your child lived in that environment too, they learned to read the room, to stay quiet when tension rose, to disappear when things got bad. And then you left, or you started the process of leaving. And now the court is involved. And suddenly the narrative flips. You're not the parent who was managing a coercive household. You're the parent who is poisoning the children against their father, or in some cases, their mom. You are now the alienator. Your child's fear, the thing you have been watching for years, is now evidence against you. If you've lived this, you don't need to tell me how disorienting it is because I have watched it. And you watched your child live in fear. And now the system is using that fear to question your parenting. A 2019 study in the Journal of Family Trauma, Child Custody, and Child Development found that in cases where alienation was alleged, the majority of children had legitimate reasons for resisting contact, including domestic violence, substance abuse, or neglect. The alienation claim was often used to deflect from the accused parent's behavior. Another study published in the Family Court Review found that mothers who reported abuse were more likely to lose custody than mothers who did not. And that allegations of alienation were disproportionately used against protective mothers. This is not speculation. This is actual data from journals, from the research. And yet, the alienation framework remains dominant in family courts. Why? Why would that be, right? Because it's simple. It gives evaluators and judges a clean explanation for very messy situations. One parent is good, one parent is bad. The children's rejection makes sense. It was caused by the bad parent, obviously, except that is not how children work. Children are not passive receivers of programming. They are nervous systems in small bodies trying to survive. So when a child has lived in a home with coercive control, their body learns. It learns which parent is safe and which parent is unpredictable. It learns when to freeze, when to appease, when to avoid. That learning doesn't disappear when parents separate. Instead, it usually intensifies. So, a child who refuses contact with a parent may be showing you a fear response that has been years in the making. The nervous system has cataloged hundreds of micro moments of tension, criticism, control, or vitality. And when you ask that child to go back into that environment, their bodies say no, absolutely not. That's not coaching. That's not programming. That is survival. And when we fail to recognize it as survival, we end up forcing children into situations that their bodies are screaming at them to avoid. And this is part of the reason why I teach the 7 relationships, because what we're looking at here is not just a custody dispute, it is a relationship system. The coercive partner's relationship with the child is one layer. The protective parent's relationship with the child is another. The child's relationship with their own internal experience, their ability to trust what they feel, is another layer in. And if you're the protective parent, you're also navigating your relationship with the legal system that may not believe you, your relationship with your own sanity as the narrative gets twisted, your relationship with your sense of worth, and you've been painted as the problem. This is what I mean when I say everything is a relationship. The pattern that ran through your home does not stop at separation. It replicates into the court system, the evaluation process, into the way your child's words are interpreted. The person who controlled the relationship doesn't stop controlling just because you left. Instead, they find new territory. And the family court system, with its need for simple answers, often becomes that territory. So let me just be frank with you. If your child is refusing contact with their other parent, that is data. It is not automatically evidence of your failure. If your child has words for things they have experienced, specific, consistent sensory memories, that is not coaching. Children who are coached give really scripted general answers. Children who are afraid give details. So if your child's body responds to transitions, the stomach aches, sleep disruption, the regression, that is not manipulation. That is a nervous system communicating in the only language that it has. And if you're being told that you're believing your child is evidence of alienation, that's advocating for your child. And if you're being told that believing your child is evidence of alienation, that advocating for your child is evidence of enmeshment, hear me clearly. You are not crazy. You're not making it up. And the fact that the system is struggling to see what you see does not mean that it is not real. So here's what I want you to walk away with. Awareness matters. Knowing the difference between alienation and estrangement, knowing what the research says gives you language. It gives you clarity. It gives you something to hold on to when the system is trying to rewrite your experience. And I also want you to know that if this is your situation, if you're in the middle of this fight, you're carrying something enormous. And the weight of it doesn't mean that you are weak. The child who refuses contact is not a pawn. They are a person with a nervous system that has been tracking safety and danger since before they even had words for it, the same way yours did when you were a child. Your job is not to fix the fear. Your job is to believe it. Your job is to believe your child, to believe what you are seeing. And if you're looking for support, if you want to go deeper into understanding how coercive control patterns replicate across relationships and how to protect yourself and your children, how to rebuild when the system has failed you or is failing you, that is the work that we do together. There is a link below in the description to learn more about the 7 relationships framework. It is the lens I use for everything I teach because one pattern is never isolated. What happened in your relationship with your partner is showing up in your relationship with the court, your children, yourself. So if this resonated, that's probably a pattern worth paying attention to. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell me something. That is how I keep making my videos. Even if you think it's insignificant, that doesn't mean that it is. And comments help to get the video pushed to more people. So like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, share this with someone if you have a friend in the situation, or if you have people in your family that you need them to understand, then share the video. Let's give them some language and help you with recognizing that this is an actual real thing that occurs. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.